evening and welcome to News Geelong. The National Disability Insurance Scheme was supported by a big rally on the Geelong waterfront this week, showing continued support for the theme of Every Australian Counts. From the action-packed world of Geelong sport, the Flying Hawk Nathan Curry enters the world of international football at a Football Federation Australia Skills Acquisition training session at the Howard Glover Reserve. And from the weather world, sparkling Lani Salathiel will update us with the latest info on what Mother Nature and her weather holds for us over the coming days. Now here's a bright idea. The Torquay Rotary Club and Torquay Mitre 10 have joined forces to provide local householders with the means to supply and dispose of their used fluorescent light bulbs safely and their tubes, as Debbie Meaney reports.
Rotary District 9780 and various businesses around the area are involved in a great recycling project which involves fluorescent bulbs. I caught up with some of those involved in the project to tell us about it.
Well, Blinky Bulb started as a project of the Rotary District's Preserve Planet Earth Committee, and we're looking for a project to implement right across the district, and we were concerned about the issue of mercury getting into the environment and into the water table through the disposal of fluorescent tubes through the normal waste system. Fluorescent tubes are very energy efficient, but they do contain tiny amount of mercury, and so there's an issue about disposing of them in that way. And so what we've done is set up a system where people can, from domestic sources, people can bring their spent fluoro tubes to a collection point, such as this hardware store, or maybe various other types of businesses are involved in their local shopping centres. Drop the tubes off there to one of the staff members who puts it into a collection carton, and then when the carton's full, they simply call the local Rotary Club who come and collect them and take them to a central depot, and then they're taken to Melbourne to be recycled.
Well, used fluorescent tubes are one of the major sources of mercury in our landfill sites, and when we recycle fluorescent tubes we can use the materials in them for useful products. So the tin, which is featured at either end of the tube, that gets recycled into cans. The glass gets made into a glass wool that can be used in household insulation, and funnily enough the mercury can also be salvaged through the recycling systems, and that gets used in things like our dental fillings. So it's quite a good way to reuse resources that we already have in our community.
Rotary is a service club, and we feel this is one of the best services we can provide with the community. But the most important thing is for people to be aware that they are a danger and that not to be thrown into the garbage bin, and please notify us or come up to the hardware store, and they will then be taken for recycling.
On the Surf Coast, this is Debbie Meaney for News Geelong.
Thank you, Debbie. Blinky Bulb has been initiated throughout Rotary International District 9780, which takes in the Surf Coast, Bellarine and Geelong regions. The Geelong National Disability Insurance Scheme rally turned the town red this week with a focus to make it easier for people to access essential care, support therapy, equipment, early intervention and training, as Meryl Friend reports.
We're here at Cunningham Pier, where the waterfront has turned red in support for people with disabilities. It's the NDIS rally, the National Disability Insurance Scheme, hoping for a fair go for all, for people with a disability and their families and their carers.
Well, it's very important that disabled people, their carers, their families and supporters make their voice heard on this key issue. We have a great opportunity at the moment to get a system in place that will revolutionise the way in which people with a disability are supported, and the NDIS is that opportunity.
So what are the issues that these people are facing that you want to improve?
Look, I think the key thing is simply the amount of resources available to support people with a disability. One of the worst things about the current disability system is that it forces a rationing of the available services, especially those publicly provided. And that rationing means that important initiatives like earlier provision of care, earlier provision of therapy where that's relevant, all those sorts of things don't happen at the time when people need them. Often that makes their situation more difficult and often puts more pressure on them.
Now, Charlie Greenwood, you're down here at the rally today for a fair go for disability and for every Australian counting. What does it mean to you?
I'm supporting the rally because we're getting sick of being treated. We're getting sick of being treated like little kids. We want to stand up. Stand up for we're going to show the government who we made of today.
All right, well, I hope you have a great rally.
Thank you.
Well, it means a lot to Coringal to look forward to the future, to have a national disability insurance scheme. We think this will solve the unsustainable current funding environment that exists in Victoria and Australia, that this is a way forward because there's an increasing number of people with disabilities, so we need a new funding scheme.
And the people here today are hoping that what the outcome will be, really.
Well, the people here today are all banding together to get public support and government support so that we can have a united approach after the Productivity Commission release their draft report later this month, and in the middle of the year when the final report comes out. They are hoping that everybody will get behind it. We need to raise awareness in the community that disability, the incidence of it is increasing, and there's currently not enough funding around to provide the services.
From Cunningham Pier in the waterfront, Meryl Friend, News Geelong.
Thank you, Meryl. And it's great to see the community's support to give a fair go for people with disabilities, families and carers. Grow it is the catch cry for Torquay's Danoa Community Garden tomorrow, as it aims at getting more people throughout the region to eat healthier and reduce their carbon footprint, as Debbie Meaney reports.
Surf Coast Energy Group has got a great idea called Grow It. And there's a launch happening this weekend where people can grow their own vegetables. I caught up with Pat from the group to tell us about it.
The project's called Grow It, and it's done with the Surf Coast Energy Group, and it's been funded by the Victorian Government. And it's a whole lot of boxes going into backyards in Torquay and on the Surf Coast.
And what will be in those boxes?
Hopefully that dirt over there and some fresh seedlings which will grow into veggies and end up on our client's dinner table.
And this is to help the client to be more sustainable, to eat healthier?
Yep, it's a behavioural change program, so it's getting people aware of how easy it is, I guess, to grow veggies at home, even if it's only some, and then the greater issues of, you know, food production and how far it travels before it gets to the supermarket, and also being healthier. You know, the fresher it is, the better it is for you.
And there's support after the actual box has been installed, and you've got a launch as well. Tell me about that.
We do. We're launching this weekend, the 12th of Feb, down at Danoa Community Garden, and we've got a trial workshop. So the program works that you don't just buy the box, you also get 12 workshops, and in that you get taught how to grow the veggies, so you're not just left to your own devices. And at the launch we're doing a free workshop, so everyone's welcome to come down. It's a 40-minute introductory, and that's with Kim Newbecker, and she's a local horticulturalist.
And if people wanted to find out more?
growit.org.au.
In Torquay with Pat Bampig from the Surf Coast Energy Group, this is Debbie Meaney for News Geelong.
Thank you, Debbie. And don't forget, take a chair, pen and paper and a plate to share after the meeting. Enjoy. This is News Geelong, Friday edition, as we go to a break and return with more news after this.